WCLU news coverage of the 2022 primary election is brought to you in part by HVAC Services in Glasgow.
Started out just trying to get a job out of high school, trying to get my foot in the door, trying to get a career started.
We try to be a successful business for our employees and a long-term employment for our employees.
And with this type of trade, and especially with HVAC services, the opportunities are endless.
I don't think there's a better company anywhere in Kentucky.
All right, welcome to today's program, Mr. Ronnie Stinson. We're glad that you're joining us for our 2022 election coverage here at WCLU. Welcome to our program.
Well, thank you for having me. Appreciate you doing all this.
Sure. So we're going to be talking a little bit today about your candidacy for Magistrate District 6. You're on the Democratic ticket. Of course, to our understanding, there are only two candidates now for that district, which are both Democrats. So we're going to talk a little bit about who you are first, and then we'll get into why you're running. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm Ronnie Stinson. I'm from Park City. Most of my life has been revolved around taking care and helping my community. I've been in the fire service for the last 30 years. I've been in the fire chief for the last 20 years at Park City, which is mutual aid with Cave City and helping taking care of our whole community. I'm also involved in the Park City Lions Club, and I'm also a member of the Cave Land CEA, where we take care of sewer and water for all three cities.
Sure.
All right?
Well, you mentioned a little bit about your time in the fire service. That's a big part of your life. You know, what you've done as a career, and then you've moved into that position as a chief of the volunteer department there in Park City, which is a big undertaking. You know, running a volunteer department with little money involved, you know, you're working at trying to make sure your resources are spent wisely and all that sort of thing. Talk about being in public service. What's that done for you as far as shaping your perspective?
Well, for years I've run my own logging company, and safety was the main thing in all of that. You have employees, you have equipment, everything is safety. And so in transitioning from the logging and running my own company, the fire service is all about safety. And it comes back to being safe with all the people you interact with, all the people that, you know, that over you. And if you do your job right, the scenes run smoothly, everything works well, and it's a great asset to your community, and it makes you feel good about yourself when you're out with the community and you get to help them. There's nothing better than being on the volunteer fire department if you're using it for the right reason. There's just something good about going out and helping people. And that's one reason I'm sort of getting into this 6th District magistrate's race. I've spent my lifetime trying to help people, and my fire service, I'm getting a little too old to be playing with the kids. So I'm looking for maybe this to help me with something where I can keep helping the community in a different way.
Sure. Well, Mr. Kenneth Sarton is currently the magistrate for District 6. Mr. Sarton obviously is not seeking re-election, so that seat will definitely turn over to someone else. You know, you mentioned a little bit about being in Park City. District 6, for those who might not know, comprises that northern part of Barren County, inclusive of Park City, Cave City too. Those two areas are huge, especially for the recreation part of the county. You know, in past years, Cave City has been a huge hub there on the interstate. I know there are some prospects for things that the city council there has looked at. Park City being the same way, and then specifically Mammoth Cave and that portion of the county. So, you know, over all of these years and being, you know, growing up there, living there, working there, the folks in Park City and Cave City are, they have their own identity aside from even Glasgow and those counties, or excuse me, those communities south of Glasgow in the county. What are you seeing day to day, or some of the issues or priorities people are looking at for those areas, Park City, Cave City?
Well, we just need more, I would say, of the small industry type to move in to where we can keep enough jobs to keep our people at home, for one thing. And as far as the tourism goes, we need to get our road system, all our infrastructure and keep it up to the par where we can keep attracting different businesses and also keep attracting these recreational places like the expansion at Yogi Bear, like the different things that's going on around Cave City, and get some of those moved into Park City as well where we can keep this growing.
Sure. You mentioned the Yogi Bear expansion there, which has been huge. A lot of money has been invested in that project. Of course, a little ways across the road there, the Kentucky Action Park obviously has closed to an extent. A lot of those parts of it, I understand there are some still viable. But that's just an example of what I was saying with the recreation. You go up the road a little bit, there's Mammoth Cave, the tourism is huge. I'm sure you see with the fire service, especially through those summer months, spring, summer, fall, people are coming from all over to the Mammoth Cave area, to Cave City. And what do you think, talking with those folks, if you have, I don't know if you have or not, but what are those folks saying about that area of the county?
Well, I don't know that they've said a whole lot about the actual tourism part of that. I would like to see Mammoth Cave get maybe more tours open where we could keep more people coming in and out of the system over there at Mammoth Cave.
Right.
But they are opening up more trails. We've got all kinds of good walking trails open, bike trails. They're doing a good job of all that. So, again, we just got to get more infrastructure built up and more good opportunities for people to come in and put in recreational business.
Right. I understand as a magistrate, a lot of those things are out of your hands. Specifically,
Yes.
As a court, even like Mammoth Cave, for instance, that's a federal property. As far as the roads go and their infrastructure, they're pretty independent in that light. But the court and elected officials still have a heavy load to bear when it comes to promoting the park and what it can do for businesses in the area. When you think about the agriculture sector, from a court perspective, farmers in the area, those that are interested in all of that, that institution, that's important for Barren County. Just off the top of your head, from a court standpoint, how do you feel like the fiscal court could benefit farmers in the area moving forward?
Again, we need to go back to getting good roads to where we can get different commodities to market and different things like that. But overall, I'm not the one to be asking about the agriculture part of it. But I do know that we have a great farming community, and we need to be taking care of those the best we can and helping them where we can, whether it's in helping get legislation passed or reaching out to state and federal people to help with all their agricultural needs.
Sure. Going back to your time in the fire service, a very large part of your life there. Recently, the fiscal court has taken some of their ARPA funding, the American Rescue Plan Act funding, handed that down to the departments in the county, $20,000, little boost. But, we've discussed the fact that $20,000 at one time is, that's great. But as far as volunteer departments go, we forget that you all are operating on a little budget. You're operating, with little resources, but you're doing a lot of work. Do you think the court moving forward could supplement or help those volunteer departments any more than they are now?
I think there's a good possibility that, but that's always a balancing act. We need to help emergency service as much as we can. There's no question about it. But we still have to balance what money we have and what money we can give out. So that's always going to be a balancing act. But yeah, we need to support emergency services as much as we can.
Right. Anything I didn't ask that you'd like to add today?
No, not really. I would like to see, as a court, when we talk about what we can do for Park City and Cave City, we may not be able to intervene and help a lot, but we can always direct stuff about getting extra funds from state, local, and federal agencies into those communities. Let's help them get the grants and all that stuff through the county if we can, at least that part of it.
Right.
And then as far as the fiscal court goes, I sort of like to see us have more transparency on what we're spending And I'd really like to see our community, the people in our communities, say, hey, what are we spending? I've had so many people ask me, what exactly does the fiscal court do? Well, we're spending all the money. They should be asking, and they should be paying attention to what the fiscal court is spending their money on and how it's being used.
Right. And just to wrap up, Cave City, Park City, those areas for years were very bustling areas of Barren County, but they've slipped off a little bit in the more modern time. What do you think has lent to that, and do you think there's a time where those communities will be like they used to be?
I don't know that we'll ever be back like we used to be, but we can try to get that recreational part back up to where we have people coming through again. And we just don't have as many tourists to come through as we used to have. Years ago, Mammoth Cave had 2 million visitors a year. We're down to less than 1 million now. That's a cut in half, and it shows up. People have to make money at these businesses, and you just don't have a lot of extra money when you cut down the foot traffic in half when it comes to keeping these small businesses up. So we have to find ways to help these small businesses in these local communities and especially around the recreational side of this, to where they can keep the doors open.
Sure. If I gave you 30 seconds to say, why should I vote for Ronnie Stinson for District 6 Magistrate, what would you say?
I have pretty much given most of my life to protecting my community. And then, again, this is just another way I want to go about that and further what I've done in the past years to keep helping in my community.
All right. Well, we appreciate you coming in today, Mr. Stinson. I thank you for participating in this interview, and best of luck.
All right. Thank you, yes, sir.